The spark of doubt in a city of idols. In an age when empires were built on stone and superstition, a single boy was gifted a wisdom that would threaten to bring one crashing down. The Quran introduces him not as a warrior, but as a thinker, a seeker, whose mind was a divine instrument. And we had certainly given Ibrahim his sound judgment before, and we were of him knowing. Surah Al-Anbiya 21:51. But what power does sound judgment truly hold against the might of a tyrant? And how could a boy, armed with nothing but questions, challenge a kingdom that worshipped the very stars in the sky? Our story unfolds in the heart of Mesopotamia, in the glittering city of Babylon. It was an epicenter of human achievement, a testament to what hands could build and minds could calculate. Under the rule of the arrogant King Nimrod, who saw himself as a deity in human form, Babylon was a beacon of civilization. Yet, for all its worldly light, it was a city shrouded in spiritual darkness. In a city that worshipped stone, a single beating heart of flesh and blood was about to commit the ultimate treason. It was beginning to think. That heart belonged to Ibrahim, son of Azar, a master craftsman of the very idols the kingdom revered. From his earliest days, Ibrahim was an outsider in his own home. He would watch his father chisel lifeless faces into wood and stone and feel a deep, unsettling logical dissonance. How could a god need to be carved? How could a deity that could be knocked over by a gust of wind be the source of all power? This was the spark. His divinely inspired intellect began a journey, using the world as his textbook. The Quran gives us a breathtaking glimpse into his mind as he cross-examines creation itself. One night, he looked to a brilliant star, a god to his people, and thought, "This is my Lord." But then it said, "A god cannot be temporary. It cannot be a slave to the very laws of physics it supposedly created." So he declared, "I like not those that disappear." Surah Al-An'am 6:76. When the moon rose, bathing the world in its ethereal glow, he considered it, but it too followed its prescribed path and vanished. His certainty grew. He knew he was on the trail of something greater, a being that did not set, a power that did not fade. Finally, he saw the sun, the most powerful object in his sky. Yet, it too surrendered to the horizon. In that moment of sunset, Ibrahim had his sunrise. He turned to his people, his heart brimming with the truth he had just unearthed, and declared his independence from their cosmic delusions. "Indeed, I have turned my face toward him who created the heavens and the earth, inclining to truth, and I am not of those who associate others with Allah." Surah Al-An'am 78-79. He had done it. Through pure reason, he had bypassed the idols, the stars, the moon, and the sun, and found the prime mover, the singular creator. He had found God. But in a kingdom built on a foundation of lies, the truth is not a welcome guest. It is an invading army. And Ibrahim, the lone soldier of monotheism, was about to launch his first attack. A war of wits and an axe. His quest began with a plea, a quiet war, waged with words of love and mercy. He went to his father, Azar, the man whose hands built the lies he sought to tear down. With the gentle respect a son owes a father, he laid out his case, a dialogue of beautiful and tragic clarity preserved in the Quran. "O my father, why do you worship that which does not hear and does not see and will not avail you at all? O my father, do not worship Satan." Surah Maryam 19:42-44. It was a heartfelt appeal to reason and a warning against misguidance. But Azar's response was the roar of a man whose pride and profession were under attack. "Have you forsaken my gods, O Ibrahim? If you do not cease, I will surely stone you, so avoid me for a prolonged time." 1946. The rejection was absolute. A door slammed shut in his face. It was Ibrahim's first taste of the profound loneliness that comes with holding a truth no one else wants to see. His heart heavy, but his resolve unbroken, he turned his attention to his people. He found them clinging to their idols, not out of conviction, but out of the weakest of all arguments, blind tradition. "We found our fathers doing this," they droned. Ibrahim knew then that words were not enough. He needed to stage a lesson so dramatic, so undeniable, that it would force them to confront the absurdity of their faith. He waited for the great city festival, a day the temples were left empty and the populace was distracted. This was his chance. He crept into the grand temple, the silent hall filled with rows of impotent gods staring into nothingness. Before them lay plates of untouched food, a feast for beings who could not eat. An axe in hand, Ibrahim began his sermon of destruction. He brought it down again and again, the crack of stone echoing like thunder in the hollow chamber. He toppled them all, shattering them into meaningless rubble. For an entire month, the gathering of firewood became a twisted act of civic duty. People from every corner of the kingdom contributed, believing they were defending their honor and their gods. They dug a pit so deep and filled it with a mountain of wood so high that it defied imagination. When the pyre was finally lit, it became a man-made volcano. The inferno raged with such intensity that no one could approach it, its heat scorching birds from the sky. The sheer scale of their hatred had created a furnace they could not even get close to. To overcome this, they constructed a massive catapult, a manjanik, an engine of war designed to hurl a single man into the heart of the blaze. They bound Ibrahim, a lone figure of tranquility amidst the chaos, and placed him on the throwing arm of the machine. The whole nation watched from the hills, their faces illuminated by the terrible orange glow. In that moment, suspended between the fury of man and the fury of the fire, Ibrahim was utterly alone in the world. But his heart was not. He had no human protector, so he turned to the only protector he needed. He whispered the words that would echo as the ultimate declaration of trust for all believers to come. Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakil. Allah is sufficient for me, and He is the best disposer of affairs. The catapult groaned and then released. As he soared through the air, a helpless projectile aimed at annihilation, the archangel Gabriel appeared before him. "O Ibrahim," the angel of revelation asked, "do you have any need?" It was a test within a test. Here was a direct offer of angelic intervention. But Ibrahim's faith was so pure, his understanding so profound, that he sought no intermediate. He knew the one who sent the angel was already watching. His legendary reply was the pinnacle of trust. "From you, no." He was plunging into the white-hot core of the fire, but before the flames could touch him, a command was issued from the divine throne, a command that would tear up the rule book of the universe. The creator of fire spoke to his creation. "We said, O fire, be coolness and safety upon Ibrahim." Surah Al-Anbiya 21:69. It was an order that redefined reality. Instantly, the roaring inferno was tamed. The very essence of fire was altered. The searing heat became a gentle coolness. The flames that were meant to consume became a protective shield. The chains binding Ibrahim melted away, yet the fire was forbidden from touching his skin or clothes. The site of his execution became a garden. From a safe distance, King Nimrod and his subjects stared, their mouths agape. They expected to hear screams. Instead, they saw a miracle. For days, as the fire blazed, they saw Ibrahim sitting peacefully in a verdant oasis that had sprung up in the furnace's heart. When the last log had turned to ash, he simply stood up and walked out of the pit, completely unscathed. The tyrant and his kingdom were defeated. Their fire, their power, their numbers, their gods, all had been rendered utterly impotent. The fire didn't destroy Ibrahim. It destroyed their arrogance. It was the ultimate judgment not of the man, but of the empire's hollow faith. He had walked into the fire as a condemned man, but emerged as a living, undeniable sign of the one true God. Echoes of the fire, a legacy of trust. The story of the fire that refused to burn is more than a miracle. It is a masterclass in faith that shaped the moral landscape for all succeeding generations.
For Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, and his followers in Mecca, facing their own powerful and arrogant tribe, this story was a divine reassurance. It was a message sent across time. You are not the first to be rejected by your own kin, and the power of your enemy, no matter how overwhelming it seems, is nothing before the power of Allah. The most potent legacy of that day is crystallized in Ibrahim's prayer, Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakil. These words became more than a historical quote. They became a spiritual shield for the Muslim nation. It is authentically reported that Prophet Muhammad himself uttered these same words at the Battle of Uhud, when his forces were wounded and vulnerable. He was drawing strength directly from the legacy of his forefather, teaching us that true power lies not in armies, but in absolute reliance on God. So, what can we, in our modern world, learn from the tyrant's fire? The lessons are as relevant today as they were in ancient Babylon. First, we learn the heroism of intellectual courage. Ibrahim's journey began by daring to think differently, by challenging the obvious truths of his society. In an age of social media echo chambers and ideological groupthink, his story calls on us to be critical thinkers, to question the modern idols of materialism, fame, and political dogmas that demand our unquestioning devotion. Second, we see the profound difference between worldly power and divine authority. Nimrod had all the tools of power, a throne, an army, and a fire. But his power was fragile, for it could not even persuade a flame to do its bidding. Ibrahim had no power, but he was connected to the ultimate authority. This is a timeless lesson for every believer facing injustice. The systems of oppression may seem mighty, but they are temporary and fundamentally weak because they are at war with reality itself. Finally, Ibrahim's story provides the ultimate blueprint for tawakkul, or perfect trust. His reliance on Allah was not passive resignation. He was active. He debated, he planned his brilliant exposé with the idols, and he spoke truth to power. But when he was pushed beyond the limits of his own human ability, strapped to the catapult, he let go completely and placed the outcome in the hands of the only one truly in control. This is the formula for a believer. Strive with all your might, tie your camel, but trust Allah for the result. The fires of our time may not be of wood and kindling, but they burn all the same. The fires of anxiety, of social pressure, of doubt, and of despair. The story of Ibrahim is a permanent reminder that For the one whose heart is truly connected to the creator of the fire, the flames lose their power. By a divine command we cannot see, the greatest trials of our lives can be transformed into gardens of coolness and safety, and our moments of greatest vulnerability can become our moments of greatest victory.